Hey guys, welcome back. We're here at LVO with round 2 of the Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings tournament. We're just waiting for our players to get going. They just barely got to the table. This round, I have Joey here from Parabellum helping announce. Good to have you here. For this round, we're going to be playing the scenario Melee. So it's the scenario 7 in the tournament packet. So in this scenario, we have 4 objective markers, 2 9-inch zones and 2 6-inch zones. So players will score points in this scenario as follows. 2 victory points for every 6-inch zone they are seizing, 3 victory points for each 9-inch zone, 2 victory points if they have 2 or more objective zones, and then 2 for killing the enemy warlord. This scenario also has kill points, so there are 2 victory points for every enemy character stand that has been destroyed during that round, and 2 points for every regiment. So there's a lot of points available in this match. We have Caleb and Rylan facing off. Caleb will be playing Spires. Rylan has Dwegom. Now, some of you that were here for the last stream heard me mention that we had a 4 Drake list in the tournament. That is Rylan's list. So you're about to see 4 Drakes, 2 Hellbringers and 2 Ironclad on the table.
It sounds like a mean list.
I've fought it once, and it's a party. It's different than what you'd expect. It's not the normal Dwegom gun line that you got used to. It's quite fun.
I'll be interested to see what lights and mediums we have coming in to pull that reinforcement lineup.
Well, I'm fairly familiar with Caleb's list. Both of these guys are from my local community, so I know exactly what they have. Caleb has 2 units of strikes, I think. He might be running them as 1 big unit. We'll have to see. And then this is his more elite list, so he's also got 2 Siegebreaker Behemoths. So this is quite a monster match that we've got coming up.
I can't wait to see a monster joust.
It's going to be a very fun match. Probably going to be violent too, because these guys both have fought each other before, so they're both going to be overthinking it. Okay. Looks like the Spires are bringing 2 units on right off the bat. 1 unit of strikes automatic and 1 that was able to roll to come onto the board. And the Dwegom don't have any lights, so they're just going to watch the Spires play the first round.
Yeah, so as light regiments, they're not going to be able to hold an objective, but they're really going to push that reinforcement lineup.
Yes, they will.
Spreading some love around the field. We got Strix on either side.
Well, that's round 1 wrapped up. So we'll go ahead and update our scoreboard. Obviously, there were no points scored in the first round. Looks like the Spires are going to be shooting for the 2 side flanks with their fast moving units. It's a little bit hard for them to, they have to kind of gamble with their placement because they don't know where any of the Dwegom are going to come on yet. Like Dwegom are only getting 1 of their medium units on the board this turn. The Spires are getting a lot of their army on the board this turn.
They are, and it looks like we have 2 high clone executors come in.
I think the Dwegom are going to have an uphill fight in terms of board control because the Spires are moving fast.
Now the problem I have as a Spires player, getting in early, pretty easy, but we have so many Drakes coming in, there might be some losses on the Spire side that really need to stay there for when that happens.
I agree. The Dwegom are going to, they have a lot more endurance because a lot of their stuff's heavier. And so the Spires are going to have to really fight to hold on to those points. Maybe they can score enough early on in the game to get ahead. Guess we're going to see.
Absolutely, but Dwegom will come in strong. Round 3-4.
Yeah. Looks like Initiates are going to be marching on first for the Dwegom. This is just a minimum sized unit, it looks like. And they're just going to be marching up. Looks like he's going to be going on the flank here. For you guys watching, I believe that's the left flank of the battlefield. Okay, here go the Spires.
Ah, dead draw.
It's a smart tactic. I like to do it that way. Use your character cards to delay so that the opponent has to move more of their stuff on the board.
Absolutely. Oh, what a beautiful character coming on the field.
I really like that character base plate. That's
my goodness.
really good work. He's standing on the head of a Drake.
That is beautiful work.
And it looks like the second regiment of Initiates is just going to move up the opposite flank from the first one. So I get the idea that he's hoping to use them to screen against those strikes.
No more Dwegom cards on the field. It's just going to be all Spires from here.
This early on in the match, it's kind of hard to tell what's going to happen. But I think this will be a fun game.
I absolutely agree. We've got so much variety on the Spire side. We've got numbers and just a lot of different types of units versus the Dwegom they have a solid plan, and that plan is to Drake.
The plan is to Drake. I like that.
So we have a Ferromancer and Onslaught drones coming in on left flank for the viewers.
Yes, left flank.
So we have a light character, but it's got a medium regiment escorting it, so they could potentially score.
And basically, right now, the Spires are just playing out the rest of their turn because the Dwegom only had the 2 units entering the board. And it looks like the Spires will be scoring some points this round because they got on that objective. Ooh, those Vanguards moved up really fast.
Yeah.
So I believe he pulled a shenanigan there where he stacked abilities to give them a 4 March activation, I believe is what happened there.
With Vanguard, so they may perform a free additional march action when they're coming in from reinforcements. So that was a triple march.
Yeah, but they also have Vanguard themselves, don't they?
Yeah. It is their special rule.
Oh, the strikes are up. Let's see what they do. So that's a march. Oh, I guess they're just gonna
wait.
try to lure out those initiates.
Oh, but they're protecting that objective.
Okay, that ends round 2, and this will be the first round of scoring. So the Spires are starting off with a strong 10-point score in that round, and the Dwegom are at 0. It's a pretty spicy start for the Spires. Let's see if it pays off for them in the long run.
This will be a very point-heavy game, though. At 10 strong right now, I don't know what we'll say on turn 6.
Yeah. And with the points for killing regiments, it's going to really start stacking up.
That's another thing. The Spires have a lot of regiments in this army. That's just a lot of points for the Dwegom to eat up.
Yeah. Now, luckily, this particular Spires list isn't as horde heavy as it could have gone. Like, he could have been running 1,000 little drones on there, and then he would have been really handing points over to his opponent.
We've got elites. We've got the Avatara. We have 2 Siegebreaker behemoths. We'll have to see how those do. They're big. They're a lot of points, so you want to keep them alive.
Siegebreakers are a great counter for Dwegom because they have that
Smite.
Yes, that's the one.
I have 2 myself.
So, for those that aren't familiar with Smite, Smite just basically makes it so that the enemy doesn't get defense against their attacks. So they have to rely on their evade characteristic, which Dwegom are high defense, and most of their stuff either doesn't have evade or it's very low.
Correct. They have great defense. Like I always describe them as angry little walls.
Yeah.
They're very sturdy. Defense is a great stat for them. They also have Harden. But when you have Smite that counts your defense characteristic as 0 in a clash, you're just going to have try to dodge.
We're just doing our command stack organization right now. Looks like the Dwegom will have the advantage in the roll-off. I'll have to remind them to roll in the dice tray going forward.
You have a dice tray. They don't have
So the Hellbringer is getting on the board. Now, for those wondering, this is two people who won their first match that are facing off right now. So one of these players is going to be eliminating themselves from the top spot. Unless it's a tie. The last LVO we did, I know Rylan pulled off a tie in one of his first few rounds, and it threw off the rankings for the entire tournament. That is an unfortunate roll for that Hellbringer Drake. And here comes the volley from the Wizard. I know it's a sorcerer, not a wizard, but close enough.
Well, it is a wizard on a lizard. It's
Oh,
an easy mistake.
I like that, yeah. To answer that question, the Hyclone Executor on our side is packing a full retinue. I believe, if I'm seeing the right guy.
Oh.
Or is he?
I'm gonna
Where
walk
is he?
over there. I'm just gonna take a look.
We actually have to look now because now we're curious.
Yeah, Hyclone Executor. And
Yes,
Assault
yes, he is
Preceptor.
packing full retinues. And they just threw drones on there because why not? Ooh, the other Hellbringer coming up the other flank.
We have a really even deployment so far.
Well, when you've got multiples of 2 for everything, I guess you just deploy on the sides and go for it.
It's an answer for every question put on the board.
So here comes another volley from the Hellbringer Drake on the right side. Only 3 shots. So overall, so far, those Drakes have been a bit disappointing. They rolled a lot of 5s and 6s on their volleys.
But you know, being able to deal any kind of damage straight from deployment, do one march and an attack action, that's still great.
Yeah,
Sometimes
it's definitely
you just have
handy.
to whittle away at them.
Yeah. And I mean, it'll probably make it so these initiates have a better chance of dealing with the strikes that are about to charge, maybe. I think he's actually thinking of sending the strike somewhere else. He's pondering it at least, based on those measurements he's taking. Look.
I think we're planning some lethal demise here.
Yeah, it looks like he decided to do the charge. I think briefly Caleb was debating having his strikes just cross over and try to flank the Drakes, which would have been a super wacky move if he had managed to pull it off.
It would have been pretty awesome, but sometimes it's easier to not take the risk and just deal the damage you have in front of you.
Yeah, it definitely would have been a huge gamble. You know, I think the problem with the Dwagom's rolls here are that they're rolling city-states dice. That's the source of all the
There's
problems.
some nice dice, though.
They are nice. So as I understand it, the fourth march action that they got was as a result of the retinue that the character took, because he's got a fully kitted tactical
Oh,
retinue.
that would be their free tactical
Okay,
double time.
here it is. So they have double time
Yes, they do.
from the character. Gave them a free additional, and then the flank ability that the Vanguard and flank ability gave them another additional. So they got 4 marches on their first activation.
Okay. Yeah, so that was a legit 4-march activation. And that brought the march up to 25 total inches. Now, I don't know if that shenanigan's going to be around much longer, because that's really good.
It's pretty gross,
Yeah,
especially for a medium regiment that can score an objective.
yeah.
Now, one thing I want to point out is those Strix that charge the initiates. You might not think they're going to do a lot of damage, but what they're helping with at the moment, besides being able to do lethal demise, is they formed a impassable wall for the Hellbringer. The
Yeah.
Hellbringer now cannot pass through a friendly regiment because it's engaged, so it has to go around. So they have stopped 2 Hellbringers. They're going to have to take 2 actions to reform in March if they want to get around them.
Yeah.
Yes, they can fire over
And
them.
even outside of the Drake, those units are wide enough, they're basically tying up the bulk of those flanks, and so the Dwegom are going to be forced to go down the middle or go really wide on the flanks to be able to move anywhere.
Yeah, and certainly the Hellbringer Drakes can fire from where they are, but they can't move, they can't score.
Yeah, and with the amount of scoring that the Spires have right now, every turn they can buy themselves before the Drakes get to the center is going to help them pull ahead significantly. Time for the squishy side of the Dwegom to get out on the field. I think they're squishy anyway. Warriors have never been terribly impressive in my experience.
That's kind of the beauty of them, though. You always need your fodder because it's just it causes action economy. If they charge a regiment of the Spires, it doesn't matter how good or bad the Spires regiment is, they're going to have to take an action to clear them.
Yeah, that is true. Looks like they're marching straight on for 9 inches of their march, and then they're going to wheel an inch for the last little bit of their march.
More Hold Warriors coming in.
Okay, the correction is being made. So he is going to be pulling those vanguards back 1 march and subtracting the points from his score. The mistake that was made was that the combo he was trying to use is a draw event, which cannot be triggered if you're not on the board yet. So the score is about to be adjusted here as soon as we backtrack our math. He should be at only 3 points now. Honestly, I would not have caught that misplay because we've used it so much in our group that it's normal for us. So, I mean, I'm glad that we got it sorted out, and it'll never pop up again now.
Yeah.
So now the vanguards will be able to use their double time finally. Yeah, the score's accurate. So the vanguard rule only gives them the third move on the turn they enter the board, right?
From reinforcement, yes.
Yep. So they are still only getting the 3 marches in their second if they were to choose to. Which I think they're not. I think they're just doing a single.
Well, and with double time, if the regiment performs 2 march actions, it may take an additional, which means
Yeah.
they do nothing
So
else.
he could get a third. Now that he's on the board, he could get that third march if he wanted to, but it looks like he's
But at
opted
this
to not
point-
to. Yeah. You don't need it at this point.
It's anything that results from an attack. Okay. But they don't go to the squad. It says that it's the regiment. So it would go to the squad. Yeah. Now we do have one guy out there, so he will be getting his. They tear it into me in the chat.
I confess I wasn't paying attention here. Is this the initiates poking them, or is the Drake shooting into them?
No, this is the initiates, and then the lethal demise coming back onto the initiates,
Okay.
which they saved.
Cool. Just making sure I knew what was going on. Okay, well that's the strikes out of there.
But they did eat up the action economy of both the initiates and the Hellbringer this turn.
Yeah, there's definitely some value in that. Now it looks like the Spires are going to attempt to grab that objective and still maybe try to stay out of range of the Drake. Yeah. Which is smart. Try to force him up so that he can expose him for more important charges later. Got our second regiment of Avatara marching on here. So it looks like they're just going to double march, and he's just checking his distance here, but double march right up behind the other unit. I'm interested to see what his plan is here. He's put a lot of stuff on the middle without knowing where the Ironclad Drakes are going to be.
Yeah, I think Spires are focusing on those objective zones, which is great. So I'm going to guess those first murder ballerinas are going to go for the next 6-inch zone and have the Avatar behind them hold that current one.
I love the red on those behemoths. It really pops. They're really eye-catching.
Yeah, we've got some nice highlights on them.
Okay, with the scoring, looks like Caleb will now go up to 10, and the Dwegom are at 4 from kill points.
Two Drakes coming in.
Minor correction to scoring. Caleb actually has 13 because he scored 3 points the previous round. Or 2 points. Yes, so he should be at 12 total.
We got there.
As long as the scores are okay at the end, it's fine, right?
So I think this round, everything is coming in.
So I believe this list is a single lineage highborn with 2 avatar units and 2 behemoths for one of the war bands. And then you have the High Clone Executor making up another warband with his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Are there? And then there's the Ferromancer. So 4 total warbands. Sorry, 3. I can math.
There's 2 High Clone Executors. That's technically another one. Each Vanguard.
Oh,
clone.
there is another one in that unit. I didn't even see him. He blended right there. Blended in with his retinue. I never run retinues, so I'm not used to having the characters blend in so well with their regiments.
Yeah.
Yeah. They normally stick out like a sore thumb.
They do. They're also painted beautifully so they match.
So this time the Spires have the advantage on the roll. And it looks like the Spires are debating making that roll a tie. Spires almost might want to go second. Let's see what they decide.
Reroll.
He is going to go for the reroll. He's still going first, whether he wants to or not.
Looks like a single march so far from the Initiates.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I think that's what he's sticking with. I think he's...
You know, he's really playing the Initiates well. The slow march and hold up.
Yeah, he's playing very defensive. I know he wants to keep those Drakes alive to provide fire support. I think he's hoping he can play the endurance game here and out-endure the Spires. Plus, he knows he's got 2 Ironclad Drakes coming on here in a bit, and those are going to do something.
Absolutely. Spires double marching their Avatara right on the edge of that objective marker.
Looks like he's decided to go the full double march on his other unit of Initiates. Go contest that objective.
It's a good decision.
And it looks like it will be contested because it looks like they both have 3 stands on there. That last stand of Vanguards doesn't look like they're quite on.
I agree.
Seems like both players are trying to play a bit defensive, like they're trying to bait the other out. And I've noticed that does tend to happen when you've got players that have fought each other a lot in the past. They tend to overthink what their opponent might do just because they're familiar with the play style of their opponent. Looks like that Drake on the left side is activating. He did an overcharge for his draw event, I believe, is what I heard. And he's marching up, and I'm assuming he's about to toast some Vanguards. They're just checking their line of sight and stuff, making sure everything's in order. Man, only 3 hits again on the Drake's volley.
Now, because of loose formation, we're going to have that round up, so it's only 2 hits. Do you have AP? 1. So I'm looking for 2s.
Now, because those Vanguards have loose formation, he's halving the number of shots rounding up, so he only had to save 2 of those instead of 3. Kind of surprising. The Drakes usually do a lot more with their volleys than they're doing this game.
The dice haven't been very nice on either side so far.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. It's going to make the game interesting if nobody ever manages to roll any hits.
Well, we're getting really close to full engagement here. I think next turn they're going to have to start getting some charges in.
Yeah, they can't play chicken anymore. They got to get in the fight.
Spires don't have any ranged units here. They are going to have to close the gap.
Here goes that other Drake moving up the field. Looks like he's going to attempt to do the exact same thing the other Drake did. Try to take out the Vanguard clones. That was a much better volley than the ones we've seen. Now, loose formation is going to reduce the number of shots down to 4. And here's the Sorcerer's volley. Okay, we've corrected them on future loose formations. Another good catch by you guys, our viewers. Sorry if we're not terribly talkative right now. We're just
We have some good rules
watching the game.
questions.
We've been having to look at rules and stuff, so. Looks like the Warriors are going to charge in at those Avatara.
It's very brave of them.
Yeah, we'll see if it goes well for them.
At the very least, denying the impact damage the Avatar can deal by a charge. That's a win.
Yeah, and it does get them on the objective, and that's certainly a smart thing to do. Now he's activating his other hold warriors, and he's got to decide what to do with them, because they're kind of just behind everything right now.
So far, he has an answer for all the enemies on the field, so they're kind of free to do whatever they want.
Looks like he's opting for a wheel for his first move. And then I think he's just going to march a second time here. So it looks like he's sending all the squishy infantry to the middle to just kind of tie things up. It's really going to come down to where those two ironclads come onto the board and where the last Siegebreaker enters.
Yeah. Now what's interesting is we have, I think next turn we're going to see a lot more tied up. We're going to see some more charges on the objective zones themselves, and that really limits where we can pass through for those Ironclad Drakes and the Siegebreaker Behemoth, which is going to make the Hellbringer Drakes all the more important that they can fire over those engaged enemies.
Yeah. Here comes a charge from the first Siegebreaker.
Ooh.
That's a success. Looks like the Dwegum lose a stand off of that. Maybe. Yes. Here comes the last Siegebreaker. Let's see where he puts it. Lots of hard choices here. He's really having to debate where that second Siegebreaker is going to go. And the Dwegum have played it smart here because Caleb can't see where either of the other drakes are going to be coming on the board. So the Dwegom, it's really in their ballpark. They get to control where the rest of the game is going to be fought.
And they have the range.
Yeah.
The Spires don't have an answer for in this list. Now, personally, I often find that I spread things out so I have options. But there is merit in doubling up your brutes and your elites on one side to take control. And it looks like we might be doing that.
Yeah, looks like he's decided to allocate everything to the one side. There's a hair clip on his second or
It's beautiful.
behemoth. It's very lovely.
Oh, what nice colors on that. Wow.
Very bright and vibrant. And now for the other ironclad drake.
There's always a bit of relief when you finally have your full army deployed. You have all your options on the board.
It also means mid though, so if you get everything on the board and you've placed it wrong, you get to be sad.
Yes, yes. Now I like the choice for the 2 siege breakers on one side, but that could be something that's regretted later.
Yeah, I suspect, kind of eyeballing this, that ironclad on the left side is going to probably tear through those drones and the other stuff we got over there, and then it's really going to come down to the Spires just trying to see if they can hold the whole other side of the board. So we'll have the Spires scoring another 10 points this round. And the Dwegom are scoring 2 off of the 6-inch zone that they hold in the center. So Spires have quite the points lead right now. And I think the Dwegom are really banking on the idea that they think they're going to be able to chew through that and score a bunch of points in the late game.
I feel like that left side is a little weak when faced with 2 drakes for our Spires infantry over there. But they've already got, what, 6 points out of that one objective already total?
Oh, yeah.
So there is merit in not. They got the early point lead, and maybe they won't be able to withstand those drakes. But on the right side, there's going to be a brutal battle, and if the Spires can regain and hold control over there, that can be another guaranteed point security with that objective.
Oh yeah, 2 siege breakers hanging out in the same lane is going to really make that a highly contested area.
And we have a lovely hold ray there that is worth 2 points.
That is true.
Well, I guess we also have the high clone executor, so it's equal.
Looks like the Dwegom are going first this round.
Starting with the ironclad.
That's going to be a spicy charge. It's an automatic success because they only needed 1 inch to get into range.
I would be really surprised if you could roll less than a 1 on a d6.
Yeah, that'd be very impressive.
Yeah.
Quite the skill.
This is going to hurt.
Now the table's unfortunately a little bit uneven, just because that's the way the convention center tables are. So he's just going to hold the Drake back a little bit. We understand that it's all the way up against the front of those guys. And they'll put a base plate there to mark where the front of the stand is, so when they remove stuff, they know where to move that Drake to. A moment of disappointment for our Dwagone player as he realized that he charged through wood, so he doesn't get his impacts.
Still inspired.
He is.
Hitting on fours. And these guys are lucky.
Don't woods also make you not inspired?
Oh, shoot.
I think they prevent you from inspiring.
No, I think you're right. Like the hindering terrain. I always called it hindering terrain, not woods. So I think that I'm just saying the wrong zonal terminology.
Well, it's the hindering rule that's doing it. Just that you can give hindering to
Oh,
things
yes.
that aren't wood.
Yes, so you're correct.
Yeah.
No inspiration.
There's 8. And these are terrifying. One is the auto pass. There's 4 more. 8, 12. Die fight.
So that completely wipes that unit. He's going to have the High Clone Executor die fighting before he's removed from the table.
It's always sad to see a regiment go before they even get to swing.
It is, but this is also a situation where I think it's exactly what we expected to happen with that engagement.
They did hold the objective. They did their job. They got points.
Oh, absolutely. And with where they're positioned, they did prevent that Drake from getting onto the objective.
That's true.
So he's not holding it yet.
That's
to
another
contest
turn.
It.
Yeah.
That is an illegal charge, is it? You can't pivot enough to get around the behemoth. He's blocking it. Okay. Then he will move sideways.
So unfortunately, this Vanguard unit on the side here has to use their first action to march because they were in a position where they couldn't wheel to get out of the way of that siege breaker for their charge. So it looks like they're just going to bank on leaving themselves available to charge later on in the match.
They're going to go ahead and inspire and flash. Okay. So needing freeze. So that is 5 on your stiff fighter. And then I only get support attacks for my whole trig. That's half the attacks, right? Pulling for your support. I'll go ahead and roll it 7. That's a plus on all money. Supporting attack. Oh, he doesn't get it though. And that 1 more.
So the initiates are punching the siege breaker behemoth here. And there was a little bit of a confusion because at first they didn't realize that the hold ray was only supporting. So that's what that last attack was that they realized, oh, he's not in combat. He's just supporting. So the Ferromancer just did Pheromone Gland Burst on his regiment. Looks like our Hellbringer Drake is spending some overcharge tokens
And this is all going into that monster.
and gonna shoot at that Siege Breaker that's there in the front. This could be painful,
Ooh.
unless he rolls like that.
So there are
No,
5
that's
at -2.
that's still a good amount of hits.
Okay, and then 4 from the sorcerer. There's 4 more. No modifiers? No modifiers.
So he's not quite gonna take down the Siege Breaker, but he has severely wounded it. Down to 5 wounds remaining.
I have to say, I'm surprised that he's leaving the Siege Breakers for a later activation.
Well, yeah, actually he is. I don't know.
Trust the process, I guess. They're still there. They're doing a good job. That defense, they took hits from the Drake and the Sorcerer.
So I think what he was banking on was that the left flank wasn't going to be the priority. I think he was hoping that the Dwegom would target over here first and that he'd be able to go and counter those Drakes.
Freeze because I'm taking aim.
Because admittedly, the right flank is a lot more contested, and so there was a chance that the Dwegom might have wanted to go first over there and
Or 6 at
instead of bringing up the left flank with their Drake.
That's 6 autos.
That's always the fun and the difficulty in forming your command stack, where you want to direct your attention in what order.
Yeah. And you never know what your opponent's going to do, and so it's kind of a gamble.
Looks like we were halved, broken for the onslaught drones.
So that left flank of the battlefield is pretty much gone. They're just toast.
And being as they're broken, they cannot hold that objective.
Correct. They cannot. So now if he can use his initiates to get up on the objective, he'll be scoring. I don't know if the initiates over there have gone yet. I don't believe they have.
I think they had a single march earlier, and then they stopped.
And that might have been a different round.
Needing freeze. So that is 3 at -2.
That Siegebreaker's taken up a lot of action economy.
Yeah, he definitely is. And that's definitely has some value to it.
It does.
Is going to activate automatic override to give a friendly unit within range a free flash march or whatever. I'm going to use it on this one to flash that unit. This will not count as it has activated.
Oh, that's a good move.
I always take that draw event, getting a free clash action, even if a regiment's already activated.
So does that mean they'll get to clash twice this activation, right?
If they've already activated, yeah, so it doesn't count towards their activation. It is just a free clash, march, or volley.
Okay.
And it's once per game, so this will not be able to be done again.
So I think what he's hoping for is that maybe he can take out all or most of those Dwegom there, which would then leave that Ironclad there exposed for a charge.
Ooh, some twos.
So we take 3. They are Okay, so that's only 4 total, so I still have 1
Okay, so not as impactful as it could have been. Just kind of average.
But it's a free action. I think what was happening is if he could have taken out 1 or 2 stands, he could have denied the points and scored because he's got a corner on those Avatar on the objective zone.
So now the Avatar are actually doing their normal activation and
Yep,
swinging.
they took some Aura of Death and they're angry.
9 hits. This could be bad for the Warriors. Let's see how their defense goes. So, actually, a pretty decent defense there.
So that regiment has been broken. So they are no longer holding that objective, and the Avatar are touching it. The Warriors are now broken.
Yes, I see that. Which also means nobody's scoring that objective now.
There is a corner of that Avatar regiment on it.
So, can a broken stand still contest?
I recently looked that up and don't remember. Let's see.
Because in my mind, they would still be able to contest, but
We will find out.
I'd be happy to be wrong on that. So the Siege Breaker's finally getting into the fight now. So those poor initiates aren't even going to get saves because of the smite. So he's just rolling the resolve at this point.
Their stands do not count towards seizing.
They do not count
They
towards
do
seizing
not
at all.
count.
Okay, so he does hold that center objective. And that Siege Breaker just decimated that unit. Now had the, they'd already activated, correct? Those initiates.
Yes.
It's too bad that the hold ray wasn't engaged there. He probably could have made all the difference on that
yeah,
engagement.
Absolutely.
We've got a magic dancing dinosaur on the side there with that Drake that just got bumped. So it looks like the Warriors are going to reform and then charge to try and get into the Avatar in the middle. Uh-oh, that's a 1 on the charge. Is that going to do it?
Closest
That was enough. So that was a guaranteed charge anyway. And other Siege Breaker is going to move up here and just going to Congo line with the front one. So the weird thing is that's really going to come down to who goes first next turn.
Oh, yeah.
Because if the Drakes go first, what I would envision happening is the Hellbringer will probably toast one, and then the other one will charge the back one.
Yes.
Either that or he'll have the Ironclad charge so that it finishes off the front Siegebreaker, and then he'll use the Ironclad to screen for the Hellbreaker or Hellbringer.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to come down to the activation there, because that first Siegebreaker at 2 wounds doesn't have a lot to live for.
But he's still got his full attack potential if he goes to go first.
Its best use would be to charge and deal as much damage as it can.
So that's end of round. Let the players tally up their scores here, and we'll get the scores updated. So that's not a bad round for the Dwegom. Dwegom will end up getting 7 points because of the stuff they did. And the Spires managed to score 11 off of that with the stuff they were able to do. And so we end up with the Spires still having quite the hefty lead. Now the players are just organizing their command stacks. I'm actually surprised at how fast they appear to be going. Seems like they already know what they want to do this round. Except for Caleb. Caleb is putting some thought into it. Based on his facial expressions as he looks around the battlefield, he's probably got a couple different possible tactics in mind, and he's just trying to decide which one to bank on. And I think this round is perhaps their most important initiative roll-off. So it looks like the Spires are getting to go first. And they're starting off with that front Siegebreaker, as we would expect. Only a 2 on that charge, though. Looks like that's enough to get in. This is a moment where having that removable model on the base comes in handy, because they can just put the base plate in there and have the model stand behind it. So here's the clash from that Siegebreaker.
which has smite.
4, evade 2. Okay, pass 2.
Ooh.
Failed 2. Still terrifying 2. Pass 1, failed 1, so he will take. How many left? 8. 8. Okay. So almost half.
So he took about half of the Drake down there.
Yeah, 14.
Could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse too.
It's good use of the Siegebreaker at 2 wounds, doing everything he can to hold up that Hellbringer.
Looks like the Hellbringer's going first. See which one he decides to use. See, and I don't know what's coming next in their command stack, but if, say, for example, he knew that he had his Ironclad Drake next to his command stack, it might be smart to use the one that's engaged, have it try to finish off that Siegebreaker so that the Ironclad can then charge the back Siegebreaker in his next activation.
Yes, however, that would put that Ironclad with its side facing the second Siegebreaker, giving it a nice opportunity for a flank.
That is also true. I didn't notice which one did they decide to go with. Okay, he's doing the engaged one. So here is the clash from the Ironclad. Oh no, that is a bad roll. I think
Oh no! Here
it's
it
down to
comes.
this
It's down to
resolve.
one.
This resolve check. Sorry, my voice just
Oh.
died there. One of the downsides of being in these conventions is that you have to basically yell
Yes.
the entire time.
Oh, the Siegebreaker might be terrifying. Does not count.
So basically that came down to whether or not the Terrifying was going to apply to the Siegebreaker, which it doesn't because it has Fearless. So our Spires player is dancing a little bit off screen here.
Oh yes. Oh no.
Oh, so it is going to come down to the Wizard. Yep, Sorcerer's
this
swinging now.
absolutely could be it. Oh.
Oh, and he
three
gets
go
all
through.
3 of them.
All right.
I don't mean to be biased here, but I am rooting for this Sorcerer.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Siegebreaker was killed by the Wizard.
It held on for a long time. There we go. Oh, the
So
catabolic
Onslaught
node.
drones have a catabolic node hiding in there, and it's about to blow. Oh, and the
my
Dwagome
gosh.
fail all their defense there.
Max damage from the catabolic node.
Okay, so we take 8 total.
It was super effective. That was a really good use of a catabolic node.
You know, I really enjoy using them myself. I've seen a catabolic node almost take out an Apex Predator, and they're not quite. But one upgrade, one officer upgrade in a force-grown drone or onslaught drone unit can do so much damage. Of course, now the Spires have to take damage. The higher of those 2 dice also affects themselves in that explosion. So he'll be rolling defense for that 5 he rolled.
There's 2. Okay. Second one, 2. There's 2. Threes. There are 3 blue modifiers other than the no shield. Okay, getting 3s. Failed 1. On. Fail that resolve. We're good on resolve.
Well, the chat is alive right now. This is turned into quite the spicy game. That Hellbringer over on the side just can't get out of the way, can it? So now he's got to decide which Ironclad's going to go first. So it looks like he decided to go with the left flank Drake. And he's just doing a corner-to-corner charge there.
Okay, that is 3 at -10. Compared to back 2. Okay, so no defense. Failed the resolve, so they're
That is the end of that regiment over there.
Was that your first activation?
And he killed it on the charge, so he's going to be able to do a second action. So it looks like he's just going to go with a march. He's wheeled a couple inches, and he's just going to move forward.
Oh, the initiates are being drug along. It happens with these models sometimes. We've got Avatar activating, but which one? Ah, yes, the Aura of Death makes it a little more difficult to decide which regiment of the Avatar to activate. of Death 6.
Well, I think if nothing else, this has been at least an entertaining match.
You know what's something that's great? We had a couple of rules questions and clarifications, and a lot of it comes down to how it's read, like hits versus characteristic for the loose formation. And these are good questions and something that players don't always encounter and have questioned unless they get outside their normal play group and go to a tournament. So we've had some good questions and again clarifications from the judge and from with the help of the chat. It slowed us down a little bit, but it helps players understand their armies.
Yeah, it's been interesting getting so many extra pairs of eyes on the game, because when you play just home, you know, against your buddies at the local game store, you really don't have anybody spectating, and so you're gonna, if you miss something, you may never know.
Yep, I played with the same play group for a while, and we learned a lot after we got new players in.
And that's why I love coming to events like this, because we've got players from, you know, all over the western United States, and even some from the other side of the continent.
Well, one good example we saw earlier was the corner charge. I have never personally even thought about charging at a corner, but you get new blood in, and you find that there are, you know, good questions and you know, is it legal or not? Yeah.
Okay, so just one.
Unfortunately, that second avatar regiment is kind of blocked.
Yeah, I think, from what I understand, he's debating whether he should leave them there so they can be there later, or whether he should try to go send them over to assist that other side of the board, or at least delay the Drake from getting over there. It's kind of a gamble, because if he pulls them off of that point, they're not going to be scoring for him anymore. It looks like he's gone for a reform.
Yeah, and right now, I think their best option is to gain points. There's not a lot of viable options here, but they can absolutely hold points for now.
So he's reforming and then he's marching forward.
While maintaining that objective. Rallying the broken unit. Excellent. Now those initiates have that objective now that they are no longer broken.
So now that other Drake is free to come in and reap havoc on the
and it absolutely
the avatar there.
It is free to do whatever it wants.
The Spires are in a predicament right now. They've got 4 Drakes bearing down on them. And really the only thing they have that's going to be able to effectively deal with that is that last siege breaker.
At this point, what might be best is to use the siege breaker and hold off the Drakes while gaining as many objective zone VP as they can.
I hope these guys have been keeping track of their kills, because at the end of the round there's going to be a lot of points scored off of this one.
Command cards. We'll see what command cards are left.
I've never been a huge fan of scenarios that use kill points.
It's difficult because as a Spires player myself, I often have 12 cards, which means that's a bunch of points versus
Yeah.
some more elite armies that have higher point value.
Yeah. But when you go into a tournament knowing that you're going to have to do at least one scenario like that, I guess you would take that into account.
It's a balance of fairness where some scenarios are going to benefit, you know, more cards versus less, and some are going to benefit with how much march you have. That's why I think it's the variety that they're like. Remember, head to head, you know, the scenario that was just to kill each other. That was the objective. Sometimes it's nice to have a simple game versus a more tactical game.
Mm-hmm.
But this one definitely benefits from the more cards your opponent has, the more points you have the possibility of getting.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna try. I'm gonna try for a charge. I need a 6.
Ooh.
Going for the charge.
Ironclad Drake is going for a long charge here. He needs a 6.
No.
Nope.
Is he unstoppable?
I think.
He does have unstoppable.
He has
we
unstoppable.
Get a reroll.
So he's going for that roll. Here we go.
Oh.
Oh, that's a 1.
So we have a 1 on a declared charge, which means we move up 1 inch, and that ends its turn.
Poor guy. He risked it for the biscuit, and the biscuit said no. And now the Siege Breaker does the same thing.
Now, the poor Siege Breaker has a amazing speed of 6 inches. It is not a fast monster. Oh. Oh, wait.
He did a march and then charge, so
So he's
he's
got
guaranteed to make it.
All right, so a march charge from the Siege Breaker. We have some impact damage coming in, but no follow-up attack, unfortunately.
The bow was a gift from my sister that I didn't know she had.
There's still some wisdom in the way he played it, because he definitely doesn't want to get shot by that on top of having to deal with the other Drake.
Yes.
Rerolling the 6s. Nope, so took 2. Terrifying 2. Okay, need a 1. Okay, so we took 4 from that.
Ooh.
We're at 4.
That Hellbringer Drake's taking a lot of attention.
He is. He's down to 4 wounds, but the problem is I don't think I don't think that Siege Breaker is gonna be able to deal with that and
No.
the other Drake.
No, I think the only good thing here is this is what I would do. It's going to take the attention from both Drakes, which takes 2 actions for a round, which means these Vanguard clones are still holding this objective. That is the best the Siege Breaker can do right now.
Yeah.
Needing 3s. That is 4 at -10. I guess we don't get terrified. Okay, so I took 3 ones.
Time for that Siege Breaker to start taking damage.
Oh no.
Oh, I didn't realize he was
Yep, the
that close.
Hellbringer has the 2nd Regiment of Avatar in line of sight.
Okay, that is the end of the round. Give us a second to tally up scores, because there were a lot of casualties that round. Okay, so basically that round, Caleb scored 5 points, and Rylan was able to score 11. So we can start to see that the lead that the Spires had is starting to crumble.
Yeah, I have done this myself where the early game you get the points, you're confident, but as you start to lose units, you're losing those scoring options. The Dweghom having so many monsters, being able to clean up just denies victory points later in the game, and they're eating up points from the Spires. That's where the majority of his points came in there.
Well, Spires are going first, and they are starting off with that Siegebreaker.
It looks like this could be the end of that Hellbringer. It's rolling for evasion since it has defense 0 with smite. Three wounds, it has 1 wound left. Here's the resolve. So that Hellbringer and Sorcerer gone.
You can count them. There's like 4. It's your flip.
Unfortunately, he had to Inspire to do that,
Yes.
so he's not going to get to charge the other.
It would have been a difficult charge on that second action with where it's positioned, so I understand dedicating it all to the kill.
Yeah.
As expected. But this is exactly what I'm saying with that Siegebreaker. He ate up those 2 Drake's actions. We still have Vanguard scoring over here.
Failed 1 there, so that's 2. Come on, Siegebreaker.
Here comes the mighty clash from that Ironclad. This is going to hurt.
Yes.
And this one is his Warlord as well.
Oh, those are some ones.
That is a painful hit.
And because of relentless blows, that counts 4 additional ones.
Oh, wow.
So that's 8, 12, 15 at -2.
15 hits on the Siegebreaker due to relentless blows.
Oh, no.
That does it. Dang it. I wanted my warlord to hit. Not very good. My warlord didn't do.
The second Siegebreaker is gone. Ooh.
Nope, apparently he's not glued together.
On camera in public. Here we wobble model.
Wobbly models, we all understand.
Keep them there. Keep the base plate there. Because he's just going to slide. So just leave him on the glacier. Yeah, so just do that. And then you will move it and then put it back on.
Got some wobbly model syndrome going on, so they're just going to leave him off his stand until he's off the hill.
We're at 6 up here.
Avatar activating and taking Aura of Death.
Oh, that was good. Oh, that was real good. Okay, I'll take that.
Some good defense rules.
These will inspire, looking for 4s, and I'm going to put everything into the one with 1. I don't wander around on 1. So there are
So that last warrior is gone from one regiment. The Avatar are still engaged with a second regiment of warriors, but that is 2 VP for the regiment kill. Oh yeah. We're using overcharge over here with this Hellbringer Drake on the Avatara. So hit half on those. 7 hits.
Okay, and then here's 4 more from the sorcerer. We got 2 more. No AP.
Looks like he's bracing himself for some charging on that
Now,
backside there.
He did a reform.
I think at this point the reform was just to try and put a little bit more distance between him and the Drakes.
Yes.
Heat increase. Just 2, minus 2. Minus 1. 2. Sniper. Okay. Here we go. Vanguard's blocking. Okay. We're gonna activate the hold doors right here.
Second hold warriors are still holding those Avatara.
Just going to inspire an attack. Maybe do something more this time. Heat increase. Okay, that is 2. Now leave. We're good. Okay, here we go. Second one is nothing. Okay, we're gonna. They're dead. Activate the Ironclad Drake. This will be that one.
Looks like the Ironclad Drake on the far side there is going to move up and hope he can maybe contribute to the game some more after that.
Yeah, I mean, he's freed up, so he could go straight to that 6-inch zone the Avatar are on. I don't think he needs to be afraid with the
Looks like
backup from that Hellbringer.
Looks like he's wheeling for part of his move.
Second march.
Yeah, that's going to hurt when that gets in there. That's going to probably finish off those Avatara.
Okay, here we go. Is that all of your cards? Okay. Hellbringer's dead. They're not going to do anything, so that's the end of that round.
Okay, that's the end of the round. Let's tally up some scores and see where we're sitting.
You got 3 for killing. And then we have the indexes weaker, so another 2. So that's 5. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That was a brutal round. So 5 for Rylan, 13 for Caleb. I'm honestly kind of surprised that the Spires are still holding on to their objectives as well as they are. Like, they control 3 out of the 4.
Well, I think technically they're
sorry.
on 2.
2.
But
I forgot that there's not actually a stand there.
no one has that other right-hand side 6-inch, but holding 2 gets you the bonus. And this is the one drawback about having a monster with a rider is it's double the points. That's a character and a regiment, 2 cards.
Yeah.
It sure gets a lot easier to make your command stack at this point.
Does it? Now they have really hard choices to make.
That's true.
Which order am I going to die in? So he has to weigh the value of sending those Avatara out to fight versus keeping them on the objective.
Now what he could do is march them to the edge of the objective, forcing the Drake to charge and attack. And even if it kills the Avatara, it does not make it onto the objective zone.
Yeah. Yeah, they could definitely do that.
They could prioritize points as well, though. Just sit on it and hope for the best.
Yeah, he does have quite the lead, and we're getting close to the end of this one.
Oh!
Oh!
Wow, that changes things a lot.
So that little Hellbringer back there just failed his charge, rolling a 1 twice. So that might actually change things a lot because
Oh, yeah.
there's a pretty decent chance those Avatar are still alive.
Yeah, I mean,
If they just have to survive the shooting.
They do.
Interesting. Oh, he's just going to march him out of range and try to keep him. It's an interesting play. Oh, he's flat out marching him off.
Oh.
Interesting. I think he's hoping that the Dwegom will go for the objective, and then next round he can turn around and charge back in, maybe?
Oh,
He got himself just barely out of range of the Drake.
yeah.
So now
but-
that Drake has to move up if he wants to get into things.
Yes. I'm not sure if that will save them. Yep. Looks like he's considering a second march as opposed to destroying the Avatara.
And I think that might be what Caleb was banking on, is that the Dwegom would get greedy, try to go for the points.
You know, you say greedy, but it took me a long time to learn patience and that victory points win games. So this is a smart move for the Dwegom, and I don't think they need to be afraid with the control that they're showing right now.
Now, it does mean if those Avatara do manage to tie him up, it could guarantee the Avatar are alive all the way up to the end of the game, maybe,
yeah.
possibly.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like we took some Aura of Death with the second Avatara, activating against the Hold Warriors. One more gone. Down to one stand. You know what we could have here in another turn is we might have some lineage highborn on Hellbringer Sorcerer dueling.
That could be interesting. Be a good way to take out a character and
You
score
know,
some points.
When you're at this point of the game, especially when you have a character that has a good combat build, the lineage highborn is not nothing.
Yeah. Have to reform next round, and then charge, and then
Yes.
activate the lineage highborn after and do the duel.
Yes. It's things like this that make you realize how good fluid formation is. To be able to get a free reform at the start or the end of your turn, that would have made it even better.
Yeah, that would have come in real handy. Now, luckily, the Dwegum are rolling kind of bad right now, so the Spires have a little bit of a chance of holding on. Nope, that's them. Sorcerer's casting a fireball here.
Okay, that is 4 at -2. 4 -2. Yep. Let's see, 1 to 3.
So those Avatar, they're close to death.
Oh,
Very,
yeah.
very close. 1 wound left on the last Avatar, and then the Lineage Highborn will just run away.
I don't think the lineage highborn and the avatar, they can't take out that Hellbringer, so the best option point-wise would be try to duel, try to get that last 2 VP from a character kill.
Yeah. Oh, I see. At this point, he's just trying not to get tabled, because getting tabled is a loss, even if you have the points lead.
What turn are we on at this point? I wasn't following. Are we on turn?
We're in 8 right now.
8.
So
Okay.
he's got to survive 2 rounds to make sure that his points lead is enough to win.
Yeah. Well, the Hellbringers, I think, have a movement of 8. Let's see.
Well, here he comes. Looks like he's gone for the double march, and I think he's only a march 7.
7. Both the Drakes are 7. The Avatar is 7. The Vanguard clones, I believe, are, well, they have a standard bearer, so 6. I'm not sure if they'll get to 10 rounds.
Yeah, I have my doubts.
Not going to do anything, and those initiates are going to remain there. And I hold 3 objectives. Yep, that's 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So at the end of that round, Rylan ends up scoring 12 points, and Caleb gets nothing. So it's a close match now.
We about to find out. I got 4. I got more than that. I'm back here.
Spires will control their own destiny.
Interesting.
They're gonna just run the max they can. Right to the edge.
Kind of surprised he chose to go with that unit first.
We'll go in that corner. Okay. We're gonna activate an ironclad Drake.
Seems like it was the right play though, because now that Ironclad's going to have to reform if he wants to get into the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So this is risky.
Oh, he might try to charge through his friendly.
Oh, he could do a charge.
He can risk it. He will charge through the Hellbringer to do that, though.
Yeah. But once he wheels in, since he can declare the charge against the side, he'll be able to basically
Yes.
end up more or
And he
less
makes
like that.
Yep.
Is he slightly in the trees beforehand? Is he in the trees? Yeah. Okay.
He doesn't get his impacts because he was in the trees at the beginning of his charge move, so he moved through them.
You only gotta do one move. So. Okay, needing
I love how we're still rolling this even though we know the Avatar are dead.
You know, sometimes it's fun to just have the process, and
Well, and if the off chance he rolls all 5s and 6s, I suppose we would have gotten some entertainment out of it.
absolutely.
Okay, at -2, so it'll be 2.
Ah,
Okay, so that's 4 points there.
Now the lineage does get to die fighting because it hasn't activated yet.
correct.
Warlord. Oh.
It won't make any difference, but it's more damage done.
It feels a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, defense. He is at 15. Okay. Oh no, wait, he had wounds. Oh. So he's a 13. Okay.
I will say I've fought a Hellbringer Drake, and I found ways to fight a Hellbringer Drake. Not 3 Drakes. This is absolutely.
Ironclad Drake's
This makes it difficult to prioritize
Hellbringer Drake.
which of your elites are going to go where.
Yeah, I've fought this list before, and I don't have a solution for it yet. I don't have enough anti-monster in my collection to deal with this.
I think if I were on the Spire side, I would have done the same thing. Get the points early, right? And then as far as how to deal with the Drakes, he did a good job of blocking them with the Strix, charging the Initiates that block the Hellbringers. So early game, we got that victory lead just from holding off the Drakes. Because dealing with them one-on-one's a little bit difficult.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't end up paying off because he right now only has a 10-point lead, and that's about to disappear when we go to scoring,
Yes.
which we're going to do right now. And Dwegom are going to score max points on objectives.
Yes, they are. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
He just got 18 points. I got 9.
18 points for the Dwegom. A brutal way to finish off the match.
I might not get table. What if I get spanked by 5 Drakes? No. This might do it. It might catch up to me in points. Just take out that way.
So at this point, he's not going to concede. He's going to still play out the match. If Rylan can manage to take out that other unit, I guess it's worth 2 points to him. Or, well, 4 points.
I just don't want to get tabled. You got all the points. Okay, let's go. And I'm going for the table.
And Caleb at this point, he just doesn't want to get tabled. He wants to be able to say he went through LVO without getting totally tabled.
I got a 1.
There is a difference between.
They're just going to keep tying on this initiative here.
You go first. What are you going to do? We're going to just reform. I got to take them off their trait finally.
They're doing a reform,
No, they'll just,
but they're going to be...
I'm just lazy.
It might not be a 100% technically correct reform, but I don't think it's going to make a difference to the game at this point.
Well, he's supposed to stay in the middle. Okay, I shuffled it when I took him off the stand. Sorry. Okay. That it? Yep. Okay, I'm gonna come over there, but I'm gonna move the help over, Drake. Oh yeah, no. Make sure it's only giving. All right. I'm like worried whenever I have something.
Oh. Can it get close enough?
Not this time, because that's a double move, right?
Dang it, he's just barely out of range, so I won't be able to shoot him off.
You can tell that this is personal.
Yeah, you can tell these guys are both from the same local
They
group.
fought before. It's now just personal. Yes.
Know the outcome, but they don't care.
Yeah, so his spell's a 14-inch, so I can't actually hit, and I'm not going to move anything off objective. So
Ah.
that's it. That's how it is. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So if nothing else, this victory for the Dragon will push him in tiebreaker points pretty high up in the rankings,
Yeah.
because
And I get good.
he scored pretty high, and I'm sure a lot of the other matches in this round scored high too.
He got 12, I got nothing. I got 12, 59 plus 12 is... I was going to say, if it's 60, let's tell us. 73 to 51. Yep.
So that's the end of that match. All in all, a really good match. That was fun to watch. We started off a little bit rough, had some mistakes, but in the end it ended up being a really fun match. So now, with the streaming, we have a lunch break. So we will be back at... We got a whole hour and 20 minutes till our next stream. So, you know, those of you that are watching, go take a break, get yourself some lunch, and come back for round 3. Thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you guys later.